All right, today we're jumping into one of the greatest legends ever told, the incredible story of the Monkey King. Seriously, let's just dive right in. So, let's kick things off with a character I bet a lot of you know and love, Goku from Dragon Ball, right? Well, his whole story, his name, the flying cloud, all of it, it's actually inspired by a much, much older legend. And this is that legend, Sun Wukong, the one and only Monkey King. And get this, his name in Japanese, it's literally Son Goku. So today, we're going to explore the OG story. It's an absolutely epic tale of power, rebellion, and ultimately, redemption. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll follow his whole life, starting with From Stone to Throne, then his quest for immortality. We'll look at his Weapons of a Rebel King, and of course, the Great Sage versus Heaven. Then comes the famous Wager with the Buddha, and it all wraps up with the journey to the West. So yeah, let's start at the very beginning. All right, Section 1, From Stone to Throne. Our story kicks off on this place called Flower Fruit Mountain, and believe me, a legend is about to be born from a magical stone. So Sun Wukong, he wasn't born like you or me. Nope, he literally popped out of a magical stone egg that had been soaking up the power of heaven and earth for ages. And from the very first second, these two beams of golden light shot out of his eyes, and they were so bright and powerful they actually freaked out the Jade Emperor, the top god in heaven. It didn't take him long to make friends with a bunch of other monkeys, and they came up with a challenge. Whoever was brave enough to jump through this gigantic waterfall and see what was on the other side, well, they'd be king. And you can guess who took that challenge, right? Of course, Wukong did. He just jumps right through the water, and what do you know? He finds this incredible hidden paradise on the other side. They call it the Water Curtain Cave. It was perfect. For that amazing show of courage, the monkeys made him their king, the handsome Monkey King. And for hundreds of years, everything was pretty much perfect. But, even for a king, good times don't last forever. One day, one of his monkey friends dies of old age. And for the very first time, Wukong has to face the idea of death. It completely rocks him. This fear of his own mortality, it just grabs hold of him and sets him off on a whole new journey. So, this crisis, it's so big that he actually leaves his kingdom. He builds a little raft, sails off, all in the search of someone who can teach him how to beat death. For 10 years, a whole decade, he wanders around until he finally finds this Taoist master named Subhuti. Now, the master wasn't just going to teach anyone. He turns Wukong away, but Wukong, he just waits. He waits outside the temple for months. That kind of sheer persistence, well, it really impressed Subhuti, who finally said, "Okay, kid, you're in." And this is where things get really wild. This is where he becomes the Sun Wukong we all know and love. He doesn't just learn how to live forever. No. He masters what's called the 72 earthly transformations. I'm talking shape-shifting into pretty much anything. Animals, objects, even other people. Each of his hairs becomes magical, so he can pull one out and create a perfect clone of himself, or turn it into a weapon. He learns to control the weather. He can even freeze people solid with just a word. The guy's a powerhouse. Oh, and on top of all that, he learned the cloud somersault. And this isn't just like a cool acrobatic trick. We're talking about a single jump that could take him 54,000 kilometers in an instant. I mean, at this point, his power is just off the charts, almost limitless. So he heads back to Flower Fruit Mountain. He's immortal. He's unbelievably powerful, and he's ready to be king again. But a king like him, well, he needs a weapon that's just as epic. And the story of how he gets it, that just adds to the legend. So what does he do? He marches down to the Dragon King's palace under the sea and basically just demands they give him a weapon. They show him all their best stuff, but he's like, nope, too light, too light. Finally, they show him this massive iron pillar they used to, keep the oceans in place. This was the Ruyi Jingu Bang. It weighed almost 8,000 kilograms. Nobody could even budge it except Wukong. And here's the coolest part. It could change size just by him thinking about it. It could go from a giant pillar smashing through buildings to a tiny little needle he could just tuck behind his ear. How cool is that? But getting a super weapon wasn't enough for him. His ambition was just getting started. When a couple of demons from the underworld show up to collect his soul, because his time was supposed to be up, he just fights them off, storms the underworld himself, and basically bullies the 10 kings of hell. He demands to see the Book of Life and Death, finds his name, and just crosses it out. And while he's at it, he crosses out the names of every single monkey in his kingdom, too. Just like that. They're all immortal. He literally rewrote destiny. Okay, so at this point, Wukong has thrown everything into chaos. He's messed with the oceans, he's messed with the underworld, the entire cosmic order is out of whack. And the Jade Emperor up in heaven is thinking, okay, this has gone way too far, we have to deal with this guy. So Heaven's first plan isn't to fight him, it's to try and placate him. They offer him a job, a fancy title, Protector of the Horses. And Wukong is totally stoked until he finds out it's just a glorified stable boy, like the absolute lowest ranking job in the entire celestial government. He is so insulted, so furious, he storms back to Earth and gives himself a new title, Great Sage Equal to Heaven. Yeah, so Heaven sends its army, 100,000 warriors, to teach him a lesson. And Wukong, he beats them all, single-handedly, even their best generals. I mean, at this point, his pride is just as huge as his power. He's not just fighting Heaven, he's making a total mockery of it. He crashes the biggest party of the year, the Queen Mother's sacred peach banquet, eats all the magic peaches, drinks all the immortal wine, and then he stumbles into the alchemist Laozi's lab and eats a whole bunch of immortality pills for good measure. He basically made himself double and triple immortal. He was completely indestructible and a total menace. So Heaven's army is just done, defeated. Their best fighters couldn't touch him. The Jade Emperor is completely out of options. In total desperation, he makes an appeal to the only being in the universe who might be able to stop this rampage, the Buddha. But here's the thing, the Buddha doesn't come out swinging. He doesn't use force. Instead, he offers Wukong a simple bet. He says, look, if you can jump out of the palm of my hand, I'll make you the new ruler of heaven. The whole thing's yours. And Wukong, thinking about his 54,000-kilometer cloud somersault, is like, easy. So he leaps, he flies and flies until he gets to what he thinks is the end of the universe, and he sees these 5 huge pink pillars. To prove he was there, he writes his name on one of them. He somersaults back, totally triumphant, and the Buddha just calmly shows him his hand. The 5 pillars? They were the Buddha's fingers. He never even left his palm. And for that incredible arrogance, the Buddha's hand transforms into a mountain, the 5-element mountain, and it comes crashing down, trapping Sun Wukong underneath. A magical seal is slapped on it, and for 500 years, the great sage, equal to heaven, is stuck there. He's got nothing but time to think about patience and a little humility. But believe it or not, this isn't the end of his story. In a way, getting totally defeated was actually the beginning. It was the start of his path to something much bigger, true enlightenment. So, 500 years pass. The goddess of mercy, Guan Yin, is looking for bodyguards for a very important mission. A holy monk named Tang Sanzang has to travel from China all the way to India to bring back sacred scriptures. Wukong is offered a deal. He can have his freedom, but there's one condition. He has to become the monk's disciple and use all his incredible power to protect him. No more ego, no more chaos. He has to use his strength for good. And that quest, that's the story of Journey to the West, one of the most famous and beloved stories in all of Chinese literature. It's the saga where this all-powerful, rebellious warrior finally learns to become a true hero. And it kind of leaves you wondering, right? What really makes someone a legend? Is it just having unbeatable power, or is it about the long, hard road to redemption?